When David gained admission into the university, everybody in his family celebrated like they had won a major battle. He was the first son and the first person in his family to enter a federal university. His mother cried the day they dropped him at school because she believed his life was finally changing for good. At first, university humbled David. The struggle was real. Long queues for registration. Crowded lecture halls. Nights without electricity. Days when Gary and groundnut became dinner. During his first year, he was friendly with almost everybody in his hostel. He shared food with roommates, borrowed handouts without pride, and laughed easily with people regardless of background. But things started changing in his second year. David became popular on campus after he learned graphics design and social media management. He started making money designing flyers for events, departmental associations, birthdays, and student politicians. Soon, his phone never stopped ringing. Money entered gradually. He changed hostels. Bought better clothes. Started using expensive perfumes. Began moving with influential students on campus. People suddenly treated him differently. Girls noticed him more. Junior students respected him. Even some lecturers recognized his face because of his involvement in campus events. Without realizing it, the attention began changing his character. David slowly stopped associating with students he considered local or financially struggling. He became more concerned about appearances and status. One of his closest friends during his early days in school was Veronica. Veronica was brilliant, calm, and humble. She came from a modest background and survived mostly through scholarships and small tutoring jobs. During David's first year, Veronica had helped him many times academically. She shared notes, taught him difficult courses, and even encouraged him when he nearly gave up during exams. But now, David barely paid attention to her. Anytime she greeted him around campus while he was with his new friends, he responded casually like they were not close. One afternoon, Veronica approached him after class. "David, please, do you still have the material for that entrepreneurship assignment?" David barely looked up from his phone. "I'm busy right now. Check the class group." The response hurt more because she remembered how many times she helped him freely in the past. A guy standing nearby noticed the awkward silence immediately. As Veronica walked away quietly, one of David's new friends laughed. "Guy, leave all these low-level friendship a beg. You don't upgrade." David laughed too. And slowly, pride settled comfortably inside him. As months passed, David became one of the big boys students admired online. He attended expensive outings, posted flashy pictures, and spoke constantly about levels. But behind the scenes, pressure was building. He spent recklessly trying to maintain appearances. Most of his money went into impressing people. He stopped focusing properly on academics. Then reality arrived suddenly. One semester, David failed 2 important courses unexpectedly. At the same time, one major student politician owing him a huge amount for campaign designs refused to pay after elections ended. Financially and academically, things started falling apart together. For the first time in a long while, David became withdrawn. The same friends who always surrounded him during enjoyment became less available. Group outings continued without inviting him because he could no longer spend freely. One evening during exam period, David sat alone outside the faculty looking exhausted and frustrated. He had not slept properly for days. As he checked his phone anxiously, he realized he was short of money for a compulsory project submission due the next morning. He called several people. Some ignored the calls. Others promised to send something later but never did. Then unexpectedly, Veronica walked past and noticed his expression. "David, are you okay?" At first, pride wanted him to pretend. But stress had already broken most of that pride down. Quietly, he explained the situation. Veronica listened without interrupting. Then she brought out her phone and transferred the exact amount he needed. David stared at her in shock. Veronica. I'll pay you back soon. She smiled gently. No problem. I know how stressful school can be. That moment hit him deeply. This was the same person he ignored publicly. The same person he acted too important to associate with. Yet she showed him kindness without reminding him of his behavior. That night, David could not concentrate on reading. He kept thinking about how success had changed him. He realized many people respected him only because of popularity, money, and influence on campus. But Veronica respected people based on humanity and character. For the first time, he felt genuinely ashamed. The next morning after lectures, David found Veronica near the library. I owe you an apology, he said sincerely. I changed after things started working for me. Veronica looked at him quietly before smiling. University has a way of testing people differently, she replied softly. From that period, David began changing gradually. He became more humble. He stopped looking down on struggling students. He learned to value people beyond popularity or status. And strangely, he became happier too. By final year, people still respected David on campus, but this time for different reasons. He became known as someone approachable, supportive, and respectful regardless of who he was speaking to. One afternoon during their final semester, while discussing life after graduation, David looked at Veronica thoughtfully as they walked quietly across the campus road. Then he smiled faintly and said, "You know something? I used to believe respect came from popularity. From money. From being known by everybody on campus." Veronica looked at him quietly. But life humbled me, David continued. Because the people I was trying so hard to impress disappeared the moment things stopped going well. Yet the people I ignored were the ones who stood beside me when I needed help the most. For a few seconds, silence followed. Then he added softly, I understand something now. Status can make people notice you, but only character can make people value you. Veronica smiled gently. As students walked past them laughing and discussing assignments, David stared ahead thoughtfully and said words he knew he would carry for the rest of his life. Money can rent attention. Popularity can attract crowds. Influence can open doors. But character is what keeps hearts open for you when life becomes difficult. He paused briefly before continuing. Status is loud. Everybody sees it for a moment. But character is quiet and steady. Status may control how people treat you today, but character determines how your name is remembered when you are no longer in the room. Veronica nodded slowly as his words sank deeper. Because university had taught David more than lectures, tests, or certificates ever could. It taught him that some people celebrate you only when life is shining on you. It taught him that pride slowly destroys genuine relationships. And most importantly, it taught him that the true measure of a person is revealed not when they are struggling, but when they finally have the power to look down on others. Years later, many students would forget who was trending on campus. Many would forget who wore expensive clothes or moved with influential people. But they would never forget those who treated others with kindness, humility, and respect. Because long after status fades, character remains. And in a world where everybody wants to build a good future and leave behind a good name, character becomes the only wealth that truly survives a person. At the end of life, people may not remember how popular you were. They may not remember your followers, your money, or your position. But they will always remember the kind of human being you chose to become. Because in the end, character outlives status. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Geraldinho Stories for more realistic and emotional stories filled with timeless wisdom, deep life lessons, and inspiration.